Guys, welcome back, and today we're going to bring you a topic that you guys have been asking for a lot on the channel. There's been a lot of comments and you know how much we enjoy kind of seeing those from you guys, and you guys give us the ideas for what you want to see, and you know we really do listen. And today we're going to bring you a wedge fit. We've decided, you know, not to use Matt, you know, for the fit. A lot of you guys, you know, were listening to the feedback that you want someone that's sort of relevant to the audience. And the video with Sam when his driver went down so well, we paid Sam the mega bucks to get him back in here
He's
for
here.
the day.
Yeah, here he is.
We've got Sam, so good to see you again, pal.
Hi guys.
Okay, so Sam's not only wanting to kill his playing partners off the tee, but he now wants to kill them around the greens and really get his wedges dialed in. Sam, how's your wedge game been, generally speaking?
Not bad, just not consistent.
Right, okay.
So some fat, some thin, I blade them, that kind of stuff.
Right, okay. How about your distances and a topic that I see a lot of guys having problems with, the transition from the iron set into the wedges. How's your yardage gapping and things like that?
Not that great.
Okay.
I kind of have to be lucky or feel lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we tend to see, Matt, is as the iron technology has evolved, it no longer complements for the higher handicappers what the wedges do. So you've kind of got these new hot-faced irons that are designed to go quite long. And that technology in the wedge leads the wedge to go further than it's ever went before. As the lofts are always are now stronger than they ever are before. Some of the companies have got 42-degree pitching wedges now. Yeah. 43-degree pitching wedges.
And that's where you're talking about transitioning. You've got a 42-degree pitching wedge, and everyone starts at 50-52 gap wedge.
Exactly.
Now you got a 10-degree gap where you never used to.
The 52, 56, 60 was the staple for most people with the kind of four wedge setup, if you include the pitching wedge, pitch, gap, sand, lob that most people have. But the 52, 56, 60 leaves now a massive gap between that 52 and the set pitching wedge.
Yeah, it's a 2-club difference, really.
It's huge, and not only that, so it's 2-club difference in loft, but it can also be a little bit more because of the design of the head.
And you had briefly mentioned in another video when we were talking about Bubba that the glide wedges, because they're a little bit more of a cavity design, they are a bit more high on ball speed.
They are.
But the rest of the wedges, take a Vokey or something, they don't have that feature at all.
No, that's it. They're just your standard typical blade wedge, which probably what we're likely to see from Sam here is a problem. And Sam, you've got blade wedges, haven't you? You've got, what do you have there? You've got Vokey wedges in the blade. You've got 52, a 56 that's bent a little bit stronger, right? And then you've got your 58
and a 58. Yeah.
Okay. So and you did something that's quite unique. Have you had your wedges built a specific way? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, they're all the same length,
right?
Except for the 58, I think.
Right, the 58's a little bit shorter. Right. That was just off the rack, that one.
Basically.
That one wasn't built specifically for you. That was just a purchase in the store. You know, we done a video a while back, actually on another channel, Matt, with Sean Clement. And
yes, that's right.
Sean talked a little bit about his wedges. He likes his wedges to be the same length also.
He's from 9-iron through to 60-degree. I believe they're all the same length for Sean.
Yeah. Doesn't like them to kind of progressively get shorter.
Finds it uncomfortable to bend that much, I think.
Tall guy. And
it kind of messes with his swing, in his opinion. But I don't know if is that a tour presence at all in terms of lengths, or they do go down?
They generally step downwards. So what you normally have, the iron progression is half an inch all the way from your longest iron to your pitching wedge, to your 9-iron. Then from 9-iron to pitching wedge, it goes in quarter degree increments from there on in. So and Sam, uses stock lengths. So on his sort of set. So we would see that progression with his, and then obviously in the wedges, he's got them all the same length. So, this will be an interesting one.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, so when we're talking about wedge fitting, though, there's more to it than just obviously yardage gapping. Once we get down into the sand and lob wedge, we have to take into characteristics the shots that the player's trying to play.
Yes, so the grind comes into play and the bounce and all that kind of stuff.
You've got every factor that goes into the makeup of a wedge. You've got sole width, you've got sole radius, you've got bounce, you've got grind, You know, you've got all those sorts of things that come into how the wedge performs, and,
Right.
and you see that, you know, with better players all the time. You take a look at the sole of their wedge, and you know, you'll maybe see some relief on the heel, or you'll see some grind on the leading edge, so that, you know, that wedge doesn't dig as much, it skips through the turf, and better interaction. And what, you know, the companies have done now is, and I think Vokey probably have done the best job at it. You know, they have their grind system all the way through the bag. So you've got your F grind from your gap wedge. You've got S grind, M grind, L, D. You know, all these different grinds that have you know, are basically, they're driven from what works for tour players.
On tour players, and I think that it's fair to say that the selection has gone up over the years. Like I know when those grinds first came out, there was at least 2 or 3, but having 6, 7 grind differences, it's good to have the options, but people just don't know what to do with them.
That's exactly right. And you know, for us, you know, when we're working with our players, we extract from them the way that they play those shots. So when you're faced with a 50-yard shot, do you play it square? Do you open it slightly?
Right.
You know, do you tend to use the gap wedge and flight it lower and run it up to the flag? Do you tend to go lob wedge and try and fly it all the way with a little bit of spin? So all those sorts of decisions that are on the golf course, they are basically what contribute to making the wedge setup.
Right. Right. Okay. So we're going to try to take Sam through questions like that.
Yeah.
Get an idea of his wedge game, and he's going to hit a few shots with what he has now, and see what we can get for him.
So we're going to start with Sam, and Sam, we're going to get you to hit your pitching wedge first and get a baseline distance for that. For what I see, the pitching wedge and the gap wedge are almost always exclusively used for full shots.
Okay.
Not too much pitching goes on. Some people, you know, if you like to play kind of the bump and run style, may pitch with those clubs. Most people tell me that they only hit those clubs with full shots, though.
Okay.
Most people. And then the sand wedge and lob wedge are mostly what they chip with. So, Sam, what's your preference for that type of thing? What do you like to chip with round the greens?
My 58 degree.
Right. Not uncommon at all. Yeah, 58. And you've got the M grind on that one. So you've got the heel and toe relief. You've got the sort of half of the sole is very flat, and then the kind of back edge and toe and heel have a little bit more sort of reduced sort of material around there for better turf interaction.
Right.
Right. Well, let's see you hit some wedges, Sam. Let's get a gauge of how far you've got your Mizuno MP54s. So let's see how far they go.
So with a wedge fit, you're starting with a pitching wedge to, one, we got to get the transition between iron set to wedges right. So that's why you start with the wedge?
Exactly.
Okay.
Got to get the gapping correct. Sam's patented fade coming into play here. So you feel like, Sam, on the course, your wedges used to be the 130 club, 135, but you feel you've lost a bit of distance with that
Oh,
one?
for sure. Yeah, it's more like 115 to 120 instead of being 130.
That there, aren't we? We are seeing that, you know, 104 in the carry and that last one 109 total. Right, let's see a few more. Okay, so Sam, you've hit kind of 3 that have drifted a little bit to the right, and you've done what everyone naturally would do and tried to hold one more online. You've overcooked it and you've pulled it.
Yeah.
And it's went 130, but it's been a dead pull left because what you were seeing wasn't what you wanted to happen. So, you know, already I'm getting an idea of you know, how I can improve your pitching wedge alone, never even mind the progression into the rest of them. I think a lie angle adjustment would make a lot of sense for you with this particular club.
And us having played together, Sam will hit, like sometimes you'll leave it short right and then make that compensation and hit it really low left. That's a fair representation of some shots you've hit.
Nothing new to you here, Sam. You've seen this all before. Okay. Well, maybe let's make a quick adjustment to the pitching wedge, get that flying a little better, then
Sounds
we can
good.
gap it accordingly, okay? Borrow that, Sam, 1 second, change the lie angle a little bit for you. All right, Sam, so little adjustment made, and it really looked to me in the first few that Seen that little shot bleed out to the right there. We were delivering the club too much toe down, so made a little adjustment to the lie angle. You should see it sit a little bit more toe up now. Should help with the start line of your ball. So good swing here. Nice, nicely done. Sam, how did that one feel?
Felt good.
Bit more solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Better start line and more like the distance that we're looking for. Really nice there.
I mean, you can just see very easily that those are taking off way straighter. And he seems to be compressing it better. A little more ball speed. He's
getting less discrepancy, Matt, between his face and path, and he's able to hold those in a much better line. Pretty manageable miss on the right side of the front right of the green, no problem.
Yeah, so the miss to the right still went 110, pretty good.
Okay, give us one more, Sam. Good swing.
It's a good hit.
Nice.
Like even those last two to me seemed like the ones that would go really short right, but he's just putting from the fringe or chipping up there from close range.
So,
wow.
Yeah, Sam, just by sort of changing up a little bit in the lie angle, we were able to deliver the face much more square. So got a little bit more energy out of the wedge and obviously held the line on a much better line. We'd two that kind of went a little bit to the short right portion of the green, but two that were really good on the line that we were hoping for. So, you know, performance-wise, that's more like it. Excellent. Okay, so that's a nice kind of look at the pitching wedge. Let's have a look at gap wedge. So let's go to your 52. Perfect. Right, so Sam, we're now transitioning into the gap wedge, and we saw the pitching wedge. We needed to make a little adjustment to the lie angle to get some more energy. We felt like the face was too toe down, or the lie angle was too toe down, which is pointing the face to the right. This should really be the similar story with the gap wedge.
His gap wedge.
Yeah, because we are hitting full shots mostly with these. Sam mentioned to us he doesn't pitch too much with the gap wedge or the pitching wedge. We're really utilising these as full shot clubs.
And that's a question you'd have to ask someone when they came in for a fit is, do you even chip with this? And if the answer is no, then you know the optimization of the club is just for his full swing, hitting it like 100 yards or whatever you're trying to do.
Exactly. So Sam had his pitching wedge flying 110, and like we always say, whatever the ground conditions allow, they allow. So, you know, 115 was what the estimated rollout was. Not too, I wouldn't say that's too far away from what we would see. So Sam, really in an ideal world, you know, you should be sort of 12 yards between your pitching wedge and your gap wedge. So we should see this 95 to 98 yards, somewhere in that window. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Swing there, Sam. Okay, come up a little short, Matt. Yep, squeezed a little more out of that one. Nice. I'll tap in. Yeah, really good stuff, Sam. A little bit of spin.
Yeah, juice that one.
That's a little fat.
A little heavy?
Yeah.
So, without going too far into the specs of this, is it possible that those wedges are more upright relative to what his iron set was? Because he doesn't seem to have the same pattern out to the right.
No, that's for sure. I mean, obviously, with it being a little bit longer than the average, and you know, we'll check the lie angle, see exactly where it's at. Being a little bit longer, I think that's actually helping Sam. The standard length of the wedge is a fraction longer.
So without going crazy on that, longer shaft. But if the lie angles were left the way they were manufactured, he's ending up with a more upright club.
Because of the length. Yeah, exactly.
So that makes sense then. He basically already has an upright wedge, so he's hitting them straighter.
Yeah, exactly. the length of the pitching wedge, like we said, 35 and 3/4, and the gap wedge is normally 35 and a half. But Sam's obviously playing them all at the same length.
Right.
So the lie angle is actually the same on a pitching wedge and a gap wedge at 64.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So it's actually going to be playing pretty similar.
Right.
But just, and this is why this is the purpose of it. Sam just hits his gap wedge better than he does his pitching wedge.
He does, yeah.
Really does. It's going about the right distance. The last one we hit a little heavy. I'm going to get Sam to hit a couple more, but we're seeing the right type of flights from it.
Is that an early sign of too much backspin?
No.
Spinning it that much? Or?
You know what? You almost, unless you're really ripping balls off the green.
Yep.
You almost don't. It's tough to get too much spin.
Interesting.
Unless you're, a player who plays in conditions where you don't want to be, ripping balls off the green. But I don't think, Sam, you're probably, at the best case, getting the ball to drop and stop with your wedges. That'd be a nice one.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen you spin any off the green.
Yeah,
you have some spin, but you're not ripping them off the green.
No.
I don't see too much of that with anyone anymore. The old golf ball that was a lot softer used to spin a lot more than the golf ball does now. I think if you hit the best wedge shots you hit might have, some stop to them, but it's not nearly what they used to be.
But seeing that number, almost 10,000, people might think, oh, is that too much?
Yeah,
but
no, that's good. It just tells me Sam's just making great contact.
Very good.
And we're using your golf ball as well, Sam, aren't we? We're using the Pro V1, which we discussed at the start. So, we want to make sure we're replicating the same spin rates that you would see outside and that type of thing. So we want to keep as many variables under our control as we possibly can. So let's see 2 more with this one, see if we're still seeing that consistent yardage. But I quite like what this is doing, Matt.
It's definitely swinging better with that one, no question.
Slightly heavy, maybe?
That was heavy and fat.
Okay. Maybe that's something in the bounce, Matt, that we would maybe want to go with a little more bounce for Sam.
To get him through the turf a bit better.
Yeah. A little bit of a pull. We know that one's in there. Okay, Sam, good stuff.
That's a good
stuff.
representation, I think.
Okay, Sam, so we saw something quite interesting with your gap wedge. A lot of good shots, a lot of good strikes. We were getting, the first 2 were excellent, getting exactly what we'd hoped. Then we saw some fat ones, and we kind of saw some consistent, kind of heavy strikes that were dropping off in the distance.
Yeah.
Then we looked at your wedge and we realised it only had 7 degrees of bounce, which for a 52-degree wedge is really quite, is really not very much. It's really kind of quite kind of small amount. So I'm going to put you into a wedge with more bounce. It's got 12 degrees on it, so it'll give you a little bit more resistance kind of through that turf. So really we should see your distance regulate a little bit more. So we've got the ping glide. This is 50 with 12 degrees of bounce. All right, Sam. And we've made the little lie angle adjustment as well. We've bumped it up right to match your pitching wedge as well. Hear that? Do you hear how good that was?
A lot less resistance, I guess, on the turf.
Yeah, I mean, just the sound of how good that was, how well Sam clipped that was great.
Yeah, that too, even better.
Yeah.
He's getting way more out of that.
So when we talk about bounce, Sam, we're really talking about forgiveness through the turf. So the less time that club spends in the turf, it gets in and out efficiently, it's going to transfer more energy to the ball, isn't it? And you're really seeing that right now. Now, I will say that you are using a 50 now compared to yours was a 52. So that's taking into account some of the distance. But the efficiency of how well Sam's wedge is getting through that turf is
and
really
he'll
good.
notice it more on a shot where he hits it a little heavy. Not necessarily your best strikes, but so the bounce you're talking about is on the back end of this sole.
That's right.
So he had almost none, so this back portion would have been much higher.
Exactly.
And as the club dug, it would just go straight into the ground. And
much flatter sole, so now there's more, there's a little bit more angle for that club to then resist the turf and get in and out nice and efficiently.
So I'm not telling you to hit one fat, but when he does potentially hit one fat, we'll hopefully see a difference
we should
output.
really see a big difference.
Right.
Felt a little thin.
It's good. Interesting. Sam, we know your pulls do go a little bit longer. Hit one more for us. Striking these great.
You really are, yeah.
So actually doesn't need these as upright. It's interesting, it's going too far.
Huh.
Okay, Sam. So we got a nice little selection of shots there, and what we really saw was almost too much performance coming out of the gap wedge there. We've kind of got the glide 50 degree, and you've got your MP 54 pitching wedge, and albeit you're pulling them a little bit left, they're a little too close to one another. We would have to dial that back a little bit and space them out a little better than that, but the sort of energy that's being produced is almost exact same, despite a big loft discrepancy.
And also a shorter shaft.
Yeah, Sam's using a shorter shaft than what he normally has.
What he has,
yeah.
but a standard shaft, but shorter for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may have had an effect on, he only hit one that was even remotely heavy.
Yeah,
is it possible that the shaft being shorter helped him pick it cleaner than before?
It would do. It would do for sure. I mean, if anything, Sam, you mentioned you felt they almost felt a little thin, a couple of them. But to be honest, to me, they sounded like they were really well hit.
Yeah, they were good.
Maybe for Sam,
good strikes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just the thin one is kind of more what we need to encourage. So I'm going to make a little adjustment to that lie angle, a little flatter again. Okay, Sam. So. We saw that the gap wedge go a little bit too far there, and we actually had a little discussion as to whether the gap wedge is going too far or whether the irons are going too short. And we've got you for an iron fit as well later today.
Yep.
So that'll be really interesting to see how the irons stack up, because you'd mentioned that you wanted to try and hit pitch and wedge around 120. Wasn't quite getting there, was it?
No.
But the gap wedge is getting certainly to about 110. So I think if we can get some irons to gain a little bit of speed, that gap wedge at 110 couldn't be quite appropriate to the new yardages from the pitch from the new irons.
Totally.
Okay, so we made some adjustments, Sam. We took a little bit of took the lie angle down a little bit. So let's take a look at these ones now.
Flatter.
Little flatter, yeah. Back down to standard.
Standard. Okay.
Good.
That was fine.
Do you feel that one was heavy, Sam?
That was heavy for
Yeah,
sure.
Still went over 100 yards though.
So there's the bounce working.
Yeah, that's a huge difference for your miss to get 103 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not 70 yards.
Not 68 yards. Yeah, exactly. Sounded good to me.
Yeah, really good clip there, Sam.
So the reason you went back flatter is that the upright angle you thought was giving quite a few pulls.
Quite a few
pulls were going too far.
They were going too long.
Gotcha.
Really good.
So there's the one almost just
Yeah,
over 110. A little bit of a pull, but not as extreme as before.
No, Sam just kind of gets them right out the middle, and then they kind of jump on him a little bit.
That felt fat.
Yeah, so again, that being a bit of a heavy strike, it's going almost the full distance for you, Sam.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
That's amazing.
That's
really.
the forgiveness
Yeah, it really
we were hoping for, Sam, wasn't it?
Because back in that chart of the original club, we got some that went like 75 yards, 80 yards at most with that heavy shot.
Yeah.
So if you get on the green with a fat shot versus chipping from 30 yards, that's a lot of strokes on the table.
That's
for
incredible.
You. Yeah,
a little
really
change
amazing.
like that.
Yeah. Right, let's see two more with this one, Sam.
Okay.
But we're seeing much better performance out of a higher bounce gap wedge for you.
Just a little bit open
It's really
face.
good. It's best spinning that one. It's really good. Really nice.
Good hit.
Excellent.
Yeah, really good hit.
Wow. Okay, Sam, really good stuff. And you know what? The higher bounce really tidied up your strike. It really reduced the amount of distance you would lose on the slightly heavy strike. Sam commented a couple of times there that he felt like heavy that one.
Yep.
and then it still covered the full distance, didn't it?
It was amazing, and to say that even off a mat, he was losing 25, 30 yards with his wedge. To go from that to maybe 5 yards, 10 yards, the percentage loss was so much less. So, you know, on the course, he would actually get away with a bit of a heavy strike, but that other wedge, no way.
No chance. It's just going to dig too much. And Sam, you know, watching you hit those wedges, you're not a 20 handicapper with the wedges. You're a better player than that. And you mentioned to me earlier that the closer you get to the green, the more comfortable you are.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I seem to hit my wedges a lot better. All my short clubs, really. My longer irons and my woods and my driver, which I don't have the problem with anymore.
Yeah, you used to have a problem.
Yeah. So all my problems were the long clubs for sure.
Yeah, and just I love that we're doing this with Sam and not flipping through some different people, because we're now able to see, you know, what is the fix to Sam's driver. We knew it was you know, getting less loft and having the face to close more. We knew that we had to take the long irons out of Sam's bag and replace them with hybrids, because that got him consistently more distance. With the wedges, we're seeing that the improvement required was to use more bounce when we were gapping the wedges, and we're going to move into the higher lofted ones and see if that's still the case. This is just the way that you're going to make improvements through your equipment to your game.
Huge.
Massive improvements, and you know, each kind of increment will have its own effect, and that will kind of help Sam become, you know, a 15, 12 handicapper, you know, much more quickly. You know, you just don't strike it like a high handicapper, Sam. You've just not had equipment that helps the way you play the game. So hopefully this series will help people watching who have the similar sort of issues. And we've seen a lot of comments saying, you know, I'm just like Sam. I have the exact same tendencies and problems with my game. So I'm really hoping that someone out there is going, yeah, I have an inconsistent distance control, and maybe higher bounce would help me. My divot size is a little bit too big, and that type of thing. So that really is what our objective is here.
100%, yeah. And I think we're right now focusing on the yardage gaps.
We're focusing on yardage gapping right now.
Yeah,
that's
so
a very good point.
We'll mention that we probably won't be able to make a video more about the grinds of wedges and hitting shorter shots.
It would be too long of a video.
Of course. So we really wanted to focus on this because there's so much improvement for someone like Sam to gap properly, get the right bounce. And then, another time we'll talk about how we can chip better and get better greenside shots.
Exactly. So, you know, gapping and spacing appropriately. You know, if we go over and look at that, the wedge there, so we now look at, let's take away obviously we had the wedge going too far the first time we hit wedge, and now we changed the lie angle and we've got it dropping back a little bit. So we're seeing closer to that 10-yard spacing. And we were talking with Sam there about an irons fit, and we actually think his irons could go a little bit further for him as well. And
you've kind of given him the benefit of a modern technology wedge, and so you've had to dial back those to match his irons because he's not getting much out of his irons. So once we go to the iron fit, you could probably let those wedges give him 10 yards more, and it would balance.
Exactly, and then start to gap them accordingly. So so that kind of, you know, starts to. Each club has its own role. Okay. Good. You want to do the?
Yeah, that's so. We would move up to his the sand wedge next. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Sam. Great job with the gap wedge, and we're now going to look at the next wedge, which is going to be your sort of sand wedge, your strong sand wedge, because the sand wedge can be either the most lofted club or the second most lofted club. I've selected 54 degrees for you. I think that's going to be a little bit more beneficial. You don't really play too many intricate shots, you were saying, you know, with that particular club. So it's going to be pretty much another full club, full shot club.
Yes.
Full swing club to a certain yardage.
Yes.
Okay, and I think that yardage has to be around 90 yards. Would be about the number on your sand wedge.
Yep.
Okay, so keeping the head style the same. We've got the Ping Glide 2.0 with the sort of cavity back that's giving us a little bit more energy and really working nicely for Sam. Keeping that bounce high, Matt. We've got 12 degrees again.
12 degrees of bounce.
This is of all the grinds, this is called the standard sole. It's a nice full sole with 12 degrees of bounce. So should be really good for Sam.
And 54 degrees of loft. 54.
Exactly.
And the reason we're doing that is because the new gap wedge was 50. So keeping a little bit of a stronger profile.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, let's have a look at this one, Sam. lovely strike.
Good hit. I think it's worth mentioning again, like the difference between his wedges and these, the frequency of the fat shot has just gone way down. The shaft length must be doing that for him.
Yeah. This will be curious because that one was heavy.
Heavy, Sammy?
Yep.
Look at it go, though.
Enjoy your tap-in,
Get
Sammy.
out of here.
That was
crazy.
I thought that went 40 yards.
I know.
Right, so a lot of people will say, you guys are fitting wedges, you can't fit wedges indoors.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say that.
They do, yeah.
The effort that we went to build this board, to basically this fitting board, to be very similar to simulating turf was extensive.
So this is not your average mat. It's built to simulate ground conditions as best you can.
This is designed, it is of a thickness that we tested on turf and then we tested on mats. And the one thing we had to replicate was basically the strike point location.
Okay.
So most people, when they hit off artificial mats, the mat's very firm, so they'll never get the club into the mat enough to get the strike high enough on the face. So I had to test 15 different turfs to get the right strike point location for multiple different players. So this one, you'll actually feel as if it's relatively soft, Sam.
It's very soft.
You're quite soft, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
So, but not too soft. So that one we knew was a slightly heavy strike. Another reason I built it on wood mat is so I could get the acoustic of the heavy strike.
You could hear that. Yeah.
I want the sound to give away the heavy strike, because in a normal mat we might not be able to detect it as easy. So, we know it's not turf, but we're in a seasonal environment and we still need to fit wedges all year round.
And it's worth mentioning that you're still comparing apples to apples because his original wedge did lose 30 yards. Yeah. So if it's 30 yards on the course, it doesn't matter. It's percentage-wise. You've clearly made an improvement in his strike.
Without a doubt. And I think, Sam, you were surprised that last one went the distance it went to. I mean, you kind of looked at it and went, oh, geez, that's not going to be the best shot. And then the next thing you look up and let's play that again. So at this point you went, oh, fatter it. And we're looking at it going, that's going to go the full yardage. And you're left with a 2-3 footer for
and part of the design of that wedge being a bit of a cavity, the slightly high strike probably maintained a bit of ball speed for him. Would that be a factor?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sam, couple more with this one, but this looks great. Okay, that one was definitely heavy.
Yeah, very heavy.
Right, so we're going to lose something on that one.
But still
that's
really
going to
not
the
bad
green
at all. If you're front edge on a fat strike, you can't complain about that.
No. Nice. That was the one. The lovely strike. Lovely little fade.
Yeah, that's a good hit. Look at this.
Making them.
Oh, spin, Sammy.
Highlight reel shots by Sam.
That's just incredible.
Man, oh man.
Okay, Sam, good job there. Really, really good. The 54 worked out quite nicely for us. We were looking for that 90, around that 90-yard number, and we were really able to get that there. So, again, a little bit of we had a little selection of strike points, didn't we?
We
there?
did.
We had some slightly heavier ones that we got some forgiveness with. We had a little bit of a pull in there as well from time to time, but we know that's your game.
Yeah.
But overall, it was quite impressive. It was. How did it feel?
It felt really, really good. Very comfortable with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I think, and you mentioned to us, this is at the point where you basically cut off hitting full shots, isn't it? You won't hit full shots with your most lofted wedge.
No.
Okay. So this is exactly where the point where we would then stop the gapping process and we then go in to look at sole grind and that type of thing and see exactly what you need from that perspective.
Because you're talking about what would probably be a 58 for Sam.
Yeah.
So you're not really going to make full swings with that, Sam, as you say. So you'd be looking at totally different factors. It's not, I mean, it's part of a wedge fit session, but not the gapping aspect of it.
Exactly. So for Sam, when it comes to shafts, there'll be a lot of people thinking, well, what shaft Sam playing? You're playing the standard stock ping shaft, which is the AWT. It's 118 grams, high quality shaft, really, really good. I don't really see too much need to move you into anything heavier or anything softer, or lighter, should I say. So that one happens to work. We've got some slightly different weighted shafts in our matrix, but I think this one's actually pretty much bang on, Sam, for weight.
Would you say that it would be more a faster swing player that would play around more with the shaft and the wedge versus someone at Sam's speed?
Yeah,
right.
It would be. It would be someone who, you know, maybe would lose some consistency by using a shaft that's, you know, at that particular weight. If you're using a set of, you know, dynamic gold 130s. And,
different.
You know, you then use a 118 gram wedge shaft. They're probably going to feel soft and light.
So it's like Rory McIlroy, for example, Project X 7.0.
7.0, 130 gram. Yeah.
And then he just goes 6.5 in the wedge.
Yeah. So he actually drops down a little bit in weight, 5 grams, but
not much.
Not much.
He's not going to, if he played a Uniflex steel or something, he would be in trouble.
All over the map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys, this is the first part of our wedge fitting segment with Sam. Like we said, this is all about wedge gapping, yardage gapping, making sure we have the right sort of selection of wedge through the turf and obviously on the loft and the lie. So, you know, we'll rejoin you or you rejoin us for the second part of that, where we start to look at the different grinds and we start to get into the more intricate part of the wedge fit. Cool. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon.